Welcome to MIFFS. I'm Matt Huss.
And I'm Dan Rhodes. Whether you know about Theseus or you're revising your syllabus,
If you want tales with a bit of jest, or you just want to hear about incest.
What?
What? It's really interesting.
Welcome to MIFFS. Welcome to MIFFS.
Hello and welcome to episode 33?
32, you moron.
33.
33, you moron.
What I love that is that you were arrogant that you're like, oh, I know this, 32. Wait, I'm wrong. No, screw you still. But Dan, can you give me some praise that I'm always right? I'm never wrong, me.
No, that's never wrong, actually.
Yeah, can you name a time that I've ever been wrong? Not like morally, but like...
Oh, not morally or in life choices.
Just like where I've been incorrect. Because I've never been incorrect in my life.
I'm trying to think of a time you're incorrect. No, can't think of any.
I think I'm the world's greatest man. I'm better than Peleus. Like, would you call me the world's greatest man, Dan?
One of them, yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, there was last week, I think, was it last week when you added up the scores wrong? But I don't think that was so much you were wrong, I think it's the numbers weren't right.
Yes.
To make that score.
Yeah. And,
it's the numbers, not you.
Yeah, I think it's... Yeah, it's blaming the numbers, because the numbers were like, oh...
It's their fault they didn't add up to be that number.
Yeah, well, yeah, thank you for saying that, then, because finally, people would say, oh, you got the maths wrong. The maths got me wrong.
That's what you wrong.
So, I think, for the rest of this podcast, I think I'll wear the title as World's Greatest Man. Oh, yes, and you have to call me Matt, call me World's Greatest Man. So,
World's Greatest Man.
So I'll change the jingle, so it'll be like, welcome to MIFFS, I'm the World's Greatest Man. And you'll be like,
I'm Dan Rhodes.
No, we need to give you a title as well. What title? World's
second greatest man? Top 10? Top 10. 7th. I'll go as low as 9.
But maybe top 1,000 men?
Oh, man.
Top 1,000.
I suppose that would still be an achievement, wouldn't it? Imagine being told you were the top 1,000. That would be quite nice.
In this bedroom.
You actually might be the top 1,000. You actually might be the best at something in the whole world. You just don't know it.
I like this. Like, you're probably good at something. I'm not quite sure.
That's true, though.
Yeah.
You might be really good at something that you haven't even tried yet, and therefore don't even know you're the best at it.
Well, Dan, did you know this about me?
Have you ever driven a Formula 1 car before, Matt?
No.
So how do we know? You probably might be the best at that.
I actually, when I was younger, I was actually the world's... Well, I was North Yorkshire's best Guitar Hero player. So, well, that was never proven, but like, I was honestly one of the only people that used to play it. I
was North Yorkshire's top Guitar Hero player, but it's never been verified.
I mean, I did play it in like a very informal competition once. So,
okay.
And I rocked it out.
Okay,
so,
I'll take that.
Yeah, and it's quite a believable. Well, I know it's not live, but it's not. It's quite believable, isn't it?
It is, yeah. Especially considering.
I used to be so good at Guitar Hero, like. I'm actually better Guitar Hero than real guitar. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I used to play so much. Do you ever play Guitar Hero, Dan?
No, I never had it. I have played it, but I'm not very good at it.
I used to rock out all the time. In fact, I used to bring my friends around so they can play Guitar Hero with me. Because I was a bag of fun. Dan, can we play Guitar Hero sometime?
Yeah, one day we'll play Guitar Hero. We have it here, actually.
Yeah, you've got Guitar Hero on the PS2. That's obviously an inferior edition. You at least want like Guitar Hero 3 because you've got good song choices. Guitar Hero 2 is very good, but it's also outdated in terms of the model of the guitar. I know a lot about it.
Wow, okay. Okay.
God, I love Guitar Hero. In fact, Guitar Hero is actually the basis of a lot of my rock music tastes, actually. And it's still carries with me for this day.
Nice.
What's your favourite music, Dan?
My favourite music? Probably a B flat.
Your favourite note is B flat. Anyway, ladies and gentlemen of this fine podcast, I hope you are doing well, and I hope you are having a lovely day in today. That was smooth, wasn't it?
That was really smooth transition.
Hey, if you're a radio producer, hook up us too. We actually have an email we'd like to read out. And this person is a serial emailer.
Ooh, a serial emailer.
And you're probably thinking, oh, is it Dan's mum? No, it's not. Although I do hope Chris is very well. It is someone who, is still very close to the podcast. It is Alex Hoss, my brother.
Ah, Alex Hoss returns.
And he emails us straight after he listened to episode 23.
I like how the emails we read out tend to be family members.
Don't question that. Don't pull that thread, Dan. The thing is that...
they just write in with dumb stuff, that's why.
I find it weird that some family members listen to our podcast, but not all of them. Like, thanks, Mum. So my brother writes in, he listened to episode 23, which was with...
Episode 23 was...
Don't look, you're not allowed to look. What was it then?
I'm so bad at knowing what episodes were what. Wait, I could probably work this out. Peterborough Service... No, it wasn't.
That's 20.
That's 20.
With a bit of a French deviant.
Bellerophon!
It's also pronounced Bellerophon, as I found out post-myth. But Bellerophon. And Bellerophon and Pegasus as well. And to quickly recap, basically Bellerophon just was a bit of a dick and basically screwed over a load of people, and he crippled himself at the end. We didn't like him, did we, Dan?
No, we didn't like him.
And my brother writes in with a couple of questions and queries from episode 19 and episode 23.
This is what happens, people, when you don't listen to the episodes up to date. We end up getting emails regarding episodes that happened ages ago. I can't be expected to remember what happened in that episode.
Yeah, how dare you remember the own content that you produced?
Just because you were listening to it, then that was a long time ago for us, episode 19.
So, so there's a lot of things my brother picked up upon. So he goes, "Hi guys, great show as usual. More like Bell End fun, am I right?"
Already I like this guy.
So my first point that Alex points out is, can we talk about the fact that in episode 23, Matt referred to the listeners as, quote, viewers, despite blasting Dan for doing the same thing. Now, I want to take an issue with that. Firstly, do you want to respond to that, Dan?
Yeah, I do want to respond to that. Alex, I completely agree with you, and I also agree that I think what you're trying to say is that Matt is a moron.
Wow. Well, firstly, you're the one who does it for genuine, because I would like, in my defence, what happened...
Such a hypocrite.
I believe the same thing actually happened in episode 21 as well, where I made and this is for emphasis, a joke that I made a joke that the listeners to this podcast were viewers. I was like trying to create a little bit of a catchphrase going on. However, the crucial thing is with this joke, Dan didn't laugh at either time. So what that means it came across as genuine. So So
what a terrible excuse.
A bad joke.
Just accept that you're wrong. I mean, I do a lot more than you do, but just accept that you know.
I know what.
Maybe through like some kind of weird telepathic osmosis. There's all the words there that I didn't understand. But you are. Maybe you're starting to become me. Maybe we're taking each other's phrases.
Are you infecting me with your idiocy?
Yeah, I think so. I think that's what's happening.
I think that's quite cute, really. My brother also goes on to say, you guys also mentioned Hampton Court. We mentioned that on episode 23.
We did.
We're in Kingston.
We did, not too far away from said place.
And Hampton Court is the place where Henry VIII used to reside and live.
Yes. Henry VIII being the 8th king named Henry.
I'm not going to bow down to it this time. You also mentioned Hampton Court. Can't believe Matt didn't mention his sexual experiences there.
Ooh.
Well, let me just...
Why was your brother there? Why didn't you have sexual experiences?
Him.
Okay. Hashtag Oedipus.
No, it's not really a sexual experience, but just weird stuff like that did happen. Firstly, a creepy guy rubbed his nipple. Now, let me explain this one. Basically, in Hampton Maze, there's a guy in the middle of the maze giving out stickers, and he was quite creepy. What had happened? He didn't actually put on my nipple. He put a sticker on me and my brother, kind of just on the chest.
Your chest, yeah.
But then I was with my mum and our family friend Barbara as well. And he got the sticker and really, it was super creepy, just popped on, like, right on the tit, just really rubbed it in really deep. And me and my brother sang a song which went, the middle of the maze, been stuck to days, and the sticker remains. That's a quote to a Metallica song. So that's quite a creepy guy.
That is quite creepy.
And I, just for the benefit of the listener, I did rub Dan's nipples during the demonstration of that. How did you feel? Was it unnerving?
That was nice, actually.
Oh, hello. Maybe you should go to Hampton Court.
So basically, you were sexually molested in a maze.
No. I was fine.
I started a position to get this guy fired. You know who you are, stickered guy.
He was proper creepy. It's like
Creepy.
I'm pretty sure he wasn't.
Hampton Court maze guy.
I'm pretty sure he wasn't employed there. He just kind of just
Yeah, I was just saying, maybe he just didn't work there. Maybe he's just a guy.
Freelance sticker.
It's big business, actually.
And the second
big work in dentist shops.
And the
dentist shops.
And the second quote sexual experience was, my brother says this without any context, so I'm going to give you the full story, but basically, me and my brother were in the toilet, in the urinals in Hampton Court, so it was me and my brother at 2 urinals, and there was a small kid, about 6 years old.
Wait, what's the thing he says first? Let's see what he said out of context.
I think it ruins
Say
it.
out of context.
Because I think it ruins the story a little bit. Like,
okay.
Right, because what happens, it's like, so there's 2 urinals, maybe we're having to pee, the 6-year-old boy comes along and starts peeing as well.
Where was this?
In the Hampton Court urinals.
Oh, so same day Stickergate happened.
Yeah, I think it was just afterwards as well. I mean, we were like 13, 14 at the time, and the little boy looks over to us, kind of looks down, and then looks up at us and goes, wow, you guys are really big boys. So what my brother says is, secondly, a child insinuated he had a large penis. I think these stories are better with little/no context. But I think you need to explain that, because like otherwise it's very problematic.
So you exposed yourself to a
I
young boy.
I was having a pee, and he goes, "Ooh, you guys are big boys." Yep, that's and to finally cut the.
You said, "What? You should see it erect." Would you want to see it erect?
He did. That's a joke. So, and also, do you remember what happened in episode 19, Dan?
Episode 19 was probably House of Pelops.
It was. That's correct, and it's the episode we talked about the Matt Hoss pub quiz.
Yep.
And we mentioned the cricket ball story where my dad would throw a cricket ball in the air and he asked me to headbutt it for a trip to Disneyland.
Yeah.
And my brother wants to refute the story as being a survivor of this terrible tragedy. He wants to say something about it. In regards to episode 19, the story about the cricket ball in the air. To set the record straight, Dad actually threw the ball in the air to me, and the prize would have been a ticket to Leeds Festival 2008, not Disney. I refused and had to pay for the ticket myself. Another fun cricket story was Matt getting struck in the eye, giving him a black eye. Hilarious. This was completely accidental. I think Dad defended the ball and it rolled relatively slowly towards Matt. However, our garden was uneven and the ball popped up and hit him in the face. Matt hated cricket and played this tactically well. He made a meal out of it and Mum gave him permission to never play again. Life skills for you right there. If you hate doing something, get hurt by it, lay back and reap the rewards. Which, if anything, that's a metaphor for our love lives.
I love how your mum just gives you permission to never do it. So if they're like, hey Matt, want to play cricket? I have a note from my mum in 2008 telling me I don't have to.
It was actually way before that, but yeah. But like, it was kind of like it was kind of like one of those things where it's like, I don't need to play. And he says, I didn't get full marks on the quiz. There were too many references to your specific day out, unfortunately. Which is he also, Alex emailed in again, and I'll read out his second email because he is very needy. And he, I don't really get this, but I'm going to read it out anyway. So, in regards to episode 24, remember we did the live intro?
Yep.
And we also talked about Persephone and Demeter.
We did.
Today, my brother's he's an environmental engineer, so he does lots of projects stuff like wind farms and stuff like that. He's really cool in that regards. Today, I would like to ask you a question: to what extent is Persephone/Demeter responsible for climate change? Dan, take it away.
Did we even mention that?
Well, I believe what he's referencing is that Persephone is the seasons.
Okay, yeah.
So, but it's still a bit of a leap in my.
Yeah, I'm not
Did
quite
we say
sure.
something about climate change?
Maybe. Probably something horrendous.
Say something horrendous now to add some levity.
I have evidence. I have absolute, irrefutable proof that it doesn't exist.
What's your proof?
Because the Earth is near the Sun.
Yeah.
Have you ever Googled how hot the Sun is, Matt?
No.
Really hot.
Wait, didn't we... Last week's episode we were sat on the surface of the sun, weren't we?
We were, yeah.
Yeah.
It's really hot.
Yeah, it's very hot.
Now, it's well known that the Earth's gravity is pulling in the Sun. Because the Sun orbits the Earth. Fact, yes or no?
No.
Fact, correct. So, as the Sun orbits the Earth, it's gradually gravity from the Earth pulling the Sun towards us, making it hotter.
I mean...
Everything I just said is scientific fact.
if Trump listens to this podcast, which he's probably going to use as his source material.
Yeah.
Also, my brother finishes off by essentially calling me David Brent with my guitar skills. And
also, if we didn't have the moon, all the seas would dry up. That's fact.
All right, cool. That's the end of the email. Thank you for sending in, Alex. I'll speak to you on the phone later on. Thank you, and you can email in as well, can't you, Dan?
Oh, thanks. I can email.
So, I mean, that's a general thing. Yeah, Dan, can you email into the podcast?
I will do.
Right,
FYI, by the way, I just want people to know that I'm really not that stupid. I don't think that climate change is real, and I don't think that the sun orbits the Earth. I just want to let people know that.
However, you are stupid enough to not know the difference between a viewer and a listener. So
that is true.
Yeah.
That is true. But at least I know, you know.
Anyway, you can email us in misspodcast@gmail.com. But we're going to get cracking on with part 2 of Achilles.
I don't need a Trojan War. It feeds the rich while buries the poor. If I got a job with it, I hear my brother call, ain't that fair? I don't need your Trojan War. No.
So Dan, in the first section, I was the greatest man on Earth, and in the second section, you're just Dan Rhodes, climate change denier. That's what you are.
Yeah, I'll deny anything for money.
Well, a lot of allegations you had to deny, Dan. But well, okay. Can I throw some things at you, and can you deny them?
Yeah, of course.
Are you the greatest co-host in MIFFS Podcast?
Absolutely not.
Are you the funniest one in MIFFS?
Actually, genuinely no.
Oh, thank you.
You think you're funnier than me.
Get in. And Dan, are you the most handsome one in the podcast?
Absolutely not. No. Not of this podcast.
Matt Hoss is he's not ugly, is he?
No, of course not.
What other things can you deny?
Are dodos extinct? Absolutely not. Bullshit, I say. Government conspiracy. The island of Mauritius is keeping dodos. No. They are keeping dodos from us. They have dodos on Mauritius. I went a friend who went on a honeymoon and he saw 2 of them in the wild. 2 wild dodos
on display in the British
just
Museum.
Crossing the street.
Wow.
And we're led to believe they're extinct. Outrage.
Dan, do you know? Have you heard about the allegations about you and that boy from Hampton Court? Do you want to deny that as well?
Anything he says that he's a lie. Although I did put a sticker on him inappropriately.
Anyway,
Achilles.
So we are going to chat to you about the second part of Achilles. What happened in the first part, Dan?
The first part, we learn about his parentage, his mother Thetis and his dad Peleus, the greatest man on earth. His mother, some kind of weird, sexy nymph.
I don't know where you got sexy from, but like she's
really hot. Poseidon and Zeus wanted to marry her.
Yeah, but then again, I think they'll pump anything.
Anyway, he's from good lineage.
Yes, and basically his mum helped out a lot of different stuff and cared for him deeply. Achilles was raised by Chiron the centaur, and he became a very good warrior and very cultured.
But he's got to be careful though, because he's completely mortal. Correct?
He's largely immortal, apart from his heel.
Ah, interesting fact, Matt.
Yeah, so he's a great warrior, very cultured. He's and he is drafted into war by the age of 15, and he has his own troop called the Myrmidons.
The Myrmidons.
And he's already widely regarded. What you know that Spartans?
That's their war cry.
I think Myrmidons are like woo
woo. Hi boys.
I didn't mean it's a camp thing.
We're the Myrmidons.
Yes, go.
Hey, yeah.
Hey, honey.
Oh, Hector, you're looking fine today, boy.
Well, actually, Hector's a Trojan prince, so he probably wouldn't say that.
That's what I'm saying. He would say that, wouldn't he? He could coerce Hector in.
Well, anyway, let's leave that there because it's slightly problematic. Anyway, that's pretty much it. So we last left Achilles on the way to Troy to fight in his battles. And he wants to become a hero.
Correct.
So,
because he'd rather die in battle young. He had this conversation with his mother. He'd rather die in battle young than grow old and never fulfill his destiny as the world's greatest warrior.
Dan, why don't you take it away?
Thank you, Matt. Achilles, Part 2. His mother, Thetis, had warned Achilles that the first Greek to land on Trojan soil would also be the first to perish in the war. So Achilles was able to avoid that. Well, that was easy.
Woo! That is one tick to the list.
It was unlucky Protesilaus who was first to land, and he soon died, but not before first dispatching a large number of Trojans who had gathered at the beachfront in an attempt to repel the Greek invasion. Good on him, Protesilaus.
Right. Firstly, that's a very easy to achieve prophecy, because like stuff like the Oedipus one, killing your dad and marrying your mum, that's quite a specific one. A guy that sets land on Troy first might die in a war, in a 10-year war. That was likely to happen. You know what I mean? Also, what isn't mentioned here is, in last week's episode we mentioned the cunning wile of Odysseus.
Ah, yes, he put his sword on his shield on the beach.
Well, last week he kind of tricked Achilles to be revealed that he's not a lady anymore. But in this, what happens? Because he's actually the first one to step off the boat. But what he does, to avoid the prophecy, he puts his shield on the sand and he steps onto it and he lets Protesilaus take the blame. If you know what I mean, which is a bit cheeky. But he's a cunning man, is Odysseus.
No luck stopping 1,000 ships, each filled to the brim with seasoned soldiers, is no easy task. Well, fuck that up.
Just no luck in repelling the Greek invasion.
Stopping 1,000 ships, each filled to the brim with seasoned soldiers, is no easy task. The Trojans soon retreated behind the walls of their city. The Greeks set up camp right on the beach and prepared for a long siege.
Yes.
The walls of Troy were heavily fortified, and the Trojans had stocked up tremendous stores of supplies, so the siege lasted 10 years.
And Troy is actually regarded and renowned for its strong walls. They're pretty much impenetrable, as you'll find out in due discourse.
What did Achilles do to keep busy, Matt?
During that time, Achilles kept busy by sacking and pillaging a large number of surrounding cities.
That makes sense.
These included the islands of Tenedos and Lesbos and the city of Thebes. And on top of that, there was Antardrus, Adramyttium, Linonessus, reaching very fast to the very south, taking also Semi, Phocaea, Smyrna, Clazomene, and Colophon.
All great cities.
So what's happened here was so Achilles is like, well, I'm pretty bored.
I can't be watching this wall breakdown. It's going to take 10 years.
Yeah, so I'm just going to just do my own thing for 10 years. Basically just like for no reason, just committing war crimes on these like many places. And also. It just seems a little bit unnecessary, you know what I mean? And is Achilles a good person here? Because I think this is the first instance of him not being a nice guy.
Yeah, I think he's meant to be, but I don't know if any guy who sacks and pillages villages for fun.
In my classics group, eventually Troy is destroyed, and in the epic poems like the Aeneid and the Odyssey, the translation of this. It called it the sack of Troy, and in our classics lessons, we had a very immature teacher called Mr. Weston, and every time we said the sack of Troy, you'd always laugh. The sack of Troy.
Ball bag.
Achilles, every time he went onto a different island, with each conquest, the legend of Achilles grew. He was indomitable. And again, this is all about chaos. He's earning his war stripes, if you know what I mean.
Yeah.
And he's becoming someone to be reckoned with. But he doesn't seem like a nice person here.
No.
King Agamemnon, the egomaniacal leader of the Greek invasion, insulted a seer of Apollo, what's a seer? Who had come to claim his daughter, Chryses, who was kidnapped by the Achaeans, otherwise known as the Greeks. To punish the king, Apollo brought a terrible pestilence upon that army, and many Greek warriors died horribly. So Agamemnon was too greedy with his spoils of war, and he insulted a prophet by not giving back his daughter, because I think Agamemnon and Achilles had a lot of slaves, sex slaves, I imagine. Yeah. But they come spoils of war, which is sad. And he didn't give Chryses back to the seer.
So Achilles is going around pillaging large numbers of cities, and the gods are fine with that. But the minute Agamemnon insults an old man, they're like, not having any of that.
Yeah.
Calm down.
It's weird how morality kind of flexes in that. It's like, the gods. Mostly they're just like they can't be bothered to do anything. But if they get kind of annoyed by, if they get offended by a personal slight, it's But it must be quite nice to have, like, if you had a god get your back, you know what I mean? It's like, oh, you insulted me, Apollo, sort him out, if you know what I mean?
Yeah.
It took the seer Calchas to pronounce that it was Agamemnon's pride which brought this evil upon the Greeks. Agamemnon was still a vain man, and he chose to insult the seer. However, he was astute enough to announce that he would give up the claim to the girl Chryses. So he's given her up, even though he still told this guy to F off, but...
He's also given his daughter back.
Yeah, but to show who was boss, however, he took away Briseis, who was Achilles' current sweetheart.
That's who Briseis was,
yes.
His wife.
Well, no, it's the spoils of war.
Okay.
Diadema is his wife.
Diadema is his wife.
But Briseis is the spoils of war. But Achilles' favourite one as well. So Agamemnon, to make up for his personal slight, gives back Chryses. He also takes away Achilles' Briseis as well.
That's going to piss someone off.
Mm-hmm. Well, listen to this, because this put Achilles into a deep funk. Not my words, the words of the source material. That put Achilles into a deep funk, and he refused to fight, instead wasting away in his tent while his army of Myrmidons idled their time away, catching a tan on the beach. Now, this is a big part of the Iliad, if I remember correctly. So basically, it's Achilles giving up the fight.
Him and his men just are like, right, we're not going to fight now.
Well, basically...
They're going on strike.
Yeah, they went on strike because, in all fairness to Achilles, it was very unfair to him.
Yeah.
It wasn't his fault that he had to make up for Agamemnon.
No, that's true.
So, again, this is interesting because we see Achilles in a different light here, because is he being childish and not fighting a war because he had his toy taken away for him? Sorry to use a woman in terms of a toy there, but in terms of his perspective on that. Or is it actually quite... an attribute? Is it maybe a virtue of his to be like, I don't want to fight for you guys if you're going to behave like that, if you know what I mean? I think it's depending on your perspective whether Achilles is a good person or not.
I just think that Agamemnon's not going to like this, because I feel like Achilles and his men come in quite handy.
Yeah, I think they are pretty much the driving force of that. I mean,
they're the top, they're the creme de la creme. They're the SAS of the...
Mm-hmm. Yeah, they're very much the... they get shit done, yeah. And there are other lads on the team. For example, Odysseus, Ajax, Diomedes. There's some proper lads there. You know what I mean? Greek heroes. Oh, Jason isn't there because he's too busy, like, caught onto
getting claimed for something he didn't do.
Narcissus is looking in the mirror.
Yeah.
Theseus is being a dick.
Probably just being a dick. Yeah.
The point I was going to make earlier was that this is the main part of the Iliad, so this is a driving force. So this must be happening around, after the 9th year of Troy. So this siege has been going on for a long time. Not a lot happens.
Well, he's been pillaging some cities and stuff.
Yeah, but that's not much in terms of the war. Yeah. So the Greeks just hang out there for a long time, if you know what I mean. When the Trojans realised Achilles and his feared Myrmidons had withdrawn from the battle, they had become emboldened by the great warrior's absence, and they launched a series of raids against the Greeks, inflicting severe losses. So tactically, this is really interesting, because they realise that the key player's out for a personal reason.
The morale's low, blah, blah, blah.
So they're like, let's attack now. Because I think the Trojans, though they have very strong walls, they're not as good as the Greeks, especially against Achilles, if you know what I mean. So they are like... to have Achilles out the race, it's actually their prime time to actually do some killing.
Yeah.
Right? At Thetis' urging, Zeus permitted this to happen in order for the Greeks to. The Trojans did a lot of raids, inflicting a lot of severe losses. This was at Thetis' urging, Zeus permitted this to happen in order that the Greeks would once again honour Achilles and realise how indispensable to them he truly was. Which is a fair point. However, it wasn't Thetis trying to get him out of war anyway, and because of this, she's getting him back into the war.
Yeah, but I think she's also grown to realise that Achilles is a great warrior, and she wants her son to...
But surely everyone knows that anyway.
Yeah, that's true.
I don't think you need to do that.
As time went on and the Trojans became more and more dangerous, Agamemnon came to his senses and agreed to appease Achilles' wrath. And it is for that purpose that he offered him 7 tripods, 7 women, 7 cities, and many other gifts, including, according to Agamemnon, yet untouched maiden. He persists. So he's saying, I haven't touched her yet, mate. You can have her back.
But the way that the source material does it, including according to Agamemnon, the yet untouched maiden. It was like he definitely had definitely had a crack. You know what I mean?
But Achilles was too upset by Agamemnon, and no gift of wealth would sway him to rejoin the battle. He could never control his pride, or the rage that consumed him whenever that pride was challenged. Pride was Achilles' major character flaw. Poisoned by this attribute, he abandoned his comrades, and he even prayed that the Trojans would slaughter the entire Greek army. Why? It was all because of a slight by Agamemnon. The Greeks appeared lost.
See, this is interesting, because Agamemnon offers him 7 cities, 7 women, which is quite a lot anyway, and he's like, no, you've personally offended my pride, so I'm not going to deal with it. Again, this is another character development for Achilles. Like, is he too prideful? Is he childish? Is he too full of his own ego?
Now, Achilles had a best friend named Patroclus, and he's about to become a big part in this. This handsome warrior was Achilles' second-in-command, his personal charioteer, brother-in-arms, and beloved cousin. The two were inseparable. So they're cousins, they're best friends.
And also, I believe that
Achilles... they're lovers as well.
Well, Dan. That is purely speculation. However, there is, I think there may be some fraternal love in that capacity. However, I think it's more of a mentor-mentee relationship as well, because Patroclus was younger than him, and not in a weird way, maybe in a weird way, but basically Achilles kind of trained him to fight and stuff like that. So Patroclus is like his, for lack of a better term, like his child, but he's.
It's like a younger brother, isn't it?
Yeah, pretty much. But also a younger brother that he's his cousin with, and also might have sex with. So just a brother.
Yeah. Hector was the son of Priam, king of Troy, an older brother to Paris, whose foolish kidnapping of Hector initiated the war. So now we've been introduced to Patroclus, and on the other side, in the Trojan camp, we're now getting introduced to Hector, who's the older son of Priam and the brother of Paris, who started off this whole thing with his stupid stealing of Helen. Hector was a fierce warrior and the celebrated leader of the Trojan army. He was the apple of his father's eye, a devoted and dedicated family man, and was destined to soon take over the kingdom from Priam.
So, just to elaborate a bit more on that as well. So, in the last couple of episodes, we talked about Apollo and Cassandra. Cassandra being the daughter of Priam. Yep. Paris is also another son of Priam. And now Hector, I think, is the oldest brother, I believe. And
he's obviously he's the eldest son, isn't he?
And he is essentially, he's a lovely man. He's very pious. He's literally the only good Trojan warrior as well. He's literally the only one that actually can fight. Yeah. Well, the rest of obviously they are fighters, but most of them are just terrible in comparison to Hector. And Hector is he's like the mortal Trojan version of Achilles, if you know what I mean. But he's a much more of a nicer person, if you know what I mean. He's actually a family guy and stuff like that.
Hector took full advantage of Achilles' absence by wreaking havoc on the Achaean army. He led a daring assault that finally penetrated the Greek ramparts, and he was the first and only Trojan to set fire to an Achaean ship. Now, Matt, you're an Aegean boat specialist.
Yes.
Roughly how long do you reckon it would take to burn down an Achaean ship?
Well, if it's in the water, impossible.
Absolutely impossible.
It is impossible.
Even if the dry bit of wood in the ship is above water, because the bottom bit is in the water, science dictates can't be on fire.
I've got a PhD in Aegean boat specialist, and so if anyone tries to say otherwise, you can fuck off. But as a serious point, as a Aegean boat specialist, getting rid of their ships is really important. That's a tactical thing as well, because if they get rid of their only way home, for example, if they get rid of a lot of their 1,000 ships, that means that they're going to think more seriously about going home, because every ship you take away, less men can get home. Yeah. If you know what I mean? So it might urge them to go home whilst they can before more ships are destroyed. Mm-hmm. So tactically, this is an amazing move. Yeah. So this is a significant role. Mm. Also, it has to be on land, because if you can't set fire to a ship in the water. So
absolute fact.
Facts.
Ships don't even bother googling because you won't find anything.
Yeah.
Ships have never been on fire whilst in the water.
If you can find an image of that, because
how the ship's going to be wet, isn't it?
Yeah, it's wet, isn't it?
You could argue, but Dan...
Can you set fire to the water? No, you can't.
No, you might argue, but Dan, the ship's been in the water for years and years, so the top of it's probably really dry. Bullshit!
Well, why don't you prove that with your Photoshop, okay? Nerds.
Nerds.
It was when the Trojans it was when the Trojans thus became so bold as to actually begin setting fire to the Greek ships. Some say that Achilles consented to send his pal Patroclus to fight, giving him his own famous armour to wear. So he gifts Patroclus his armour. This is very important. Yet, others claim that Patroclus acted on his own, because he felt so badly at how the Greeks were faring versus the rejuvenated Trojans. Patroclus went to battle. Off he went, wearing the distinctive armour and helmet of his best buddy, wink wink, Achilles. So he would go out in outward appearance looking identical to Achilles. So Patroclus is out in the battlefield, and as is Hector, and the forces are clashing against each other. And then, Patroclus, wearing the armour of Achilles, he looks across and sees the prince Hector. Hector spots him as well.
Hector's like, oh, let's be that guy Achilles. I'm going to get some of that.
Yeah, because it's like, oh, I didn't know he was back in battle. Let's take him out now whilst I can. And so basically, Hector went over across, believing it was Achilles. He slew Patroclus in battle really easily as well.
He thought, Jesus, this guy's not as good as I thought he was.
Yeah, and maybe it was a myth more. They thought it was more of a legend.
Hector's thinking, I've been scared of this guy the whole time. Turns out you can stab him real easy.
Yeah, and basically he slew Patroclus in the battlefield, and this is the kind of the pivotal moment of the Iliad, because Hector kills Patroclus, and everyone finds out that Patroclus took the armour, and then Achilles finds out, and when Achilles finds out, this is the thing that motivates him to get back in the fight, because he is personally affronted. Like, he's personally affronted to be out the battle, he's personally affronted to get back in.
Especially if the other second story is true, that it was actually that he didn't give him permission to do that.
Yes.
And then he's just woken up one morning to find that
Patroclus is dead.
Patroclus is dead, yeah.
So Achilles wants revenge. He wants to help wants to avenge his brother. He was angry and wanted revenge. I believe he blamed himself, because if he was fighting in the battle, that wouldn't have happened.
Yeah, he would have been able to protect him. And,
yeah. However, realising that he had been wasting his time and skills bitterly pouting by his ships, just a quick point there, if he was pouting by the ships, surely he would have caught Hector setting fire to them. Just saying. He was wasting his time bitterly pouting by his ships. Achilles asked his mother Thetis to fetch him new armour from the great gods of smiths, Hephaestus. So there's a whole section in the book where Hephaestus forges him a brand new armour. Because
his armour's already, I assume it's on Patroclus.
Yeah, and they didn't have washing machines back in those days, so they couldn't just wash the blood off.
Also, why is Achilles' mum with them in this battle?
I think she just pops up every now and then as better like advice. And
I suppose she's a nymph, isn't she?
Yeah,
she can like pop up. I forget she's like supernatural powers.
Well, actually, the old armour had been taken by Hector summer priam when he slew Patroclus as like a trophy.
Yeah.
I believe it was episode 8. It's book 18 of the Iliad, where this whole descriptive chapter of Hephaestus forging this armour. It's brand new, it's like Iron Man suit kind of thing, and these descriptions is important in the Iliad, because when Homer writes them, they actually reflect across into stuff like the Aeneid, because stuff like that happens for Aeneas as well in the future, and basically Virgil copies it but makes it Romanified.
Okay. When Thetis delivered the new armour, Achilles called a council of war and reconciled with Agamemnon, both agreeing that they had acted foolishly. All the rage and animosity which Achilles had felt towards Agamemnon had now been transferred to Prince Hector. It was payback time. Oh, I feel like if pissed Achilles is not someone you want to fight. None could stand before the wrath of Achilles. The night before Achilles returned to combat Hector, succumbing to overconfidence, he ordered the Trojan army to camp outside the safety of the city walls. This critical tactical error caused his crucial downfall the following day. At the sight of the charging Achilles, the startled Trojans broke ranks and scattered, dividing into two bodies.
Because imagine that if you're the Trojans, you think you just destroyed. If you think you just killed Achilles and he arrives, the actual Achilles arrives in battle, you're gonna be shit scared, aren't you?
Yeah, so I see. So Hector thinking he's killed Achilles. Does Hector not realise that isn't Achilles then?
No, I don't think so.
He just thinks he, as far as he's concerned,
yeah,
he's killed Achilles. So why is he's just been like, hey guys, just camp, it's easier for you guys to camp outside the walls because the Greeks aren't going anywhere.
Yeah.
"Whoa!" And they've woken up to find Achilles charging towards them. And
Yeah.
they're like, "Oh, yeah." At the sight of charging Achilles, the startled Trojans broke ranks and scattered, dividing into two bodies. Achilles and his peerless army of Myrmidons drove one part across the plain towards the city of Troy, and pennied the other half in a bend of the river. Okay, so they penned the other half. The river god Xanthus tried to subdue him, but Hepatitis
Hepatitis came to the aid.
Hepatitis came to the aid.
Hey guys!
The river god Xanthus tried to subdue him, but Hephaestus came to the aid of Achilles and dried up the waters with a scorching flame. The stunned Trojan survivors hastened to get back to the safety of their fortified walls like a bunch of scared rabbits. Now it was Hector's turn. And that's where we leave part 2, Matt.
Yes, in the capable hands of Hepatitis.
Yeah.
Hey there, my name is Matt Huss, and in this link I have an American accent, and I advocate the safe use of MIFFS podcasts in small doses.
Dan, what do you think of part 2?
I enjoyed that.
It was
Part 1 was very interesting last week because we learned about his parentage and a bit more about who Achilles was. And this time we've actually, and obviously he was on his way to the Trojan War, having had all those moral conundrums. And this second part, we actually got to see what Achilles' story was like during the Trojan War. And we learned a bit more about the Trojan War in general.
Yeah, well, this is the main... I think this is probably the most part of the Iliad. And in the finale, we're going to see that the final of that, and also what happens after the Iliad as well. So I think, you get a lot of content there. But I think it's quite interesting to see the different dynamics between all these different Greek heroes trying to interacting with each other, if you know what I mean? Because with the Odyssey, it's a single Greek hero doing a whole journey. But with the Iliad, it's like the Avengers kind of thing. They're all in the same group.
Yes.
And it never works out well for the Avengers.
It doesn't.
So, every time on this podcast, we always rank it, don't we, Dan?
We do.
Why do we rank it, Dan?
We rank it because it's a really good way of working out which myths we prefer and which myths we don't prefer. It's also a good idea just to... It's a good summary. It's a good summary.
So every week we rank it out of 40 in 4 different categories. What did we get last week, Dan?
We got 22.
Overall. And I think we might be...
It's not going to be 22 out of 10, is it, Matt?
Well, I just wanted to give it... try to add some... the radio producers might be still listening. Let's rank it on life skills. As I say, we rank each individual apart separately. Life skills. Learn how to burn a ship.
Learn how to burn a ship.
Learn how to be in a sulk.
Learn how to be in a sulk. Learn how to steal someone's armour.
Yes. Learn to create a plague amongst men.
Yep.
Learn how to insult people.
Yep. Learn how to steal the spoils of war.
We learned how to...
insult someone.
I already said that.
Oh.
Learn how to kind of compensate people, like with 7 cities and stuff like that. We learned that the best way to get vengeance is murder a lot of people. A lot of people.
I think that's the main thing we can take from this.
From all of this, really.
If you're just really angry...
Murder a lot of people. It's a PSA, isn't it?
Yeah. What else did we learn? Last week we got was really high, actually, because he learned... It was all about him, like, with Chiron. It was like he learnt loads.
Yeah, he...
burnt ships. Learn how to not camp outside your city walls.
Yeah, we learned the strategy of war, did we? We learned how to defeat lots of different smaller islands.
Yeah.
We learned to pillage and whatnot.
We learned to use your shield if the prophecy says the first person on land will die.
I don't think it is as much as other ones. However, I don't know, maybe like a 6 or a 7?
I think it's 7, because we did learn a lot about like war strategies.
Yeah, but is it? Yeah, okay. I think 7's fine.
7's locked in, Matt.
Some morals.
Morals, these are things that we have learned ethically, maybe an overarching kind of story or overarching moral. So, anything we learned that you...
don't
steal other people's stuff.
Yeah, have boundaries between, like, if he's your lover, brother, cousin, pick one.
Don't get cocky. Hector got a bit cocky, and clearly that's...
And don't steal other people's prizes to make up for your own gaff, if you know what I mean.
Yes, yeah.
Don't piss off Achilles.
Sometimes in a good way, sometimes it's good to just agree to disagree. Like Agamemnon and Achilles, they made up eventually for the greater good.
But then again, it's always to do with Achilles' personal feelings, so... You know what I mean? I don't think it's lots, but it's more than last time, because I got 3.
Yeah. I'm thinking like a 5.
I was thinking 4, but...
Okay, we'll give it...
What do you reckon?
Well, 5's average, isn't it? And
I think it's below average.
I think it's below average. I think you're right. 4.
Creativity. Yeah, I like this, because it's... basically, we see the ebb and flow of Achilles' personality traits, his and how he acts as a person as well. He's not just a warrior, but how he acts as a human being. And he's very moody as well.
Yeah, creativity is high in this one. All the strategy is very creative.
Mm-hmm. The fact that the Trojans come out to fight when the Greeks aren't expecting it.
Yeah, the whole thing with... definitely the whole thing with Patroclus stealing all of Achilles' stuff.
Yeah.
The idea of burning the ships is quite creative.
Mm-hmm.
Again, Odysseus throwing his shield on the ground is quite...
The fact that he sacked so many cities in the 9 years prior. I think a 7 is probably...
I think a 7. There's a lot of narrative here. That's what's quite impressive. Like, we always give quite high creativity to ones with good narrative, don't we? Good story arc, good characters.
I don't think it's overwhelming, but I think 7 is right.
Yeah.
WTF.
Not crazy high.
Nah,
nothing really weird came in this one.
Well, last week it was quite low as well, and I think it's probably really low as well. Well, let's think about it. Because what's WTF?
WTF is what the fuck. So it's what is messed up about it. Mm-hmm. What makes you go, oh my god, that was weird. Mm-hmm. Why is that in this myth? Like, who came up with this stuff?
Yeah, well, I mean, yeah. In terms of what I think it's weird, a bit WTF to burn ships. The pillaging, that's the bit.
That's pretty messed up. Well, even having a sport, even keeping these women as like your sex slaves is a bit weird. I say a bit weird. It's very weird.
What do you mean a bit weird? It's not normal, right? I get. I don't. There's not like any mythical monsters or anything here.
No, there's no weird like. I mean, maybe the fact that Patroclus might have been his cousin, brother / lover.
Like that's WTF.
Yeah. That's frowned upon? Yeah.
I think it's a bit... Yeah, I don't think it's crazy. Maybe a 3 or 4, but I think...
A 3.
Yeah.
I think a 3.
But why not a 2? Well, last week's was 3.
Last week's was 3.
And I think if we're holding to the same specification...
And then it should be a 2. Or do you think it's the same?
Is it less? Because I think it's probably the same. It's a bit more horrible warfare.
That's true. But
I think it's just warfare.
It's just warfare. At least last year you had him being raised by a centaur. His mum was changed into loads of different things. 2. Unlucky.
Let's add that all together. So 7 plus 4 plus 7 plus 2. Like 14.
I think it was 20.
Yeah, it's correct, 20. Is that lower than last time?
It is. Last time was 22.
Wow, I thought it was going to be a bit stronger.
Yeah, so did I.
But I think it made life skills was crazy high last time, and I think it got roughly the same scores as the last time.
It's weird because I actually really am enjoying these Achilles stories. They're just not as messed up. They're not as myths as other, because they're about people. These myths are about humans.
Yeah.
So other myths that are solely based on the gods tend to be a lot weirder because they have powers and they can just do dumb stuff.
And the way that it works is that with the Iliad, it's all about warfare, and it's about fighting a battle, and it's a very long-term thing. It's a siege. However, with the Odyssey, which is like it's about it's all fantastical. There's lots of different elements, and then there's a massive fight at the end, and it's kind of like that's going to be a bit more WTF. However, this is like this is still based in reality a bit more. You know what I mean? It's less fantastical. I mean, there's still fantasy elements within it, but it means it's a bit more. I don't know. It's a bit more of a realistic interpretation of it. It's more about the hubris of humans than the fantasy of like monsters. If you know what I mean. Yeah. But I think that it's important to recognise that because with again in the Aeneid, the first half is like this Odyssey where it's just quite a lot of monsters and adventures. And then the second half's warfare, so yeah, it's different. Anyway, thank you for listening to the Old MIFFS podcast. Hope you enjoyed it. Why don't you get in touch with us? How?
You can go on Facebook or Twitter at MIFFS Podcast.
And
email us, like Alex did. Thanks, Alex, by the way. miffspodcast@gmail.com.
And if you want to give us a rating, where do you go?
To iTunes, I guess.
Or any podcast provider.
Any one of your podcast providers.
And
terms and conditions apply.
Please send us money. On top of that, you can give us 5 stars. We're not currently accepting anything less than 5 stars at the moment. Because I'm the greatest man on earth and Dan's a climate change denier. So, he will deny you giving us less than 4 stars. So,
yeah, don't you dare. I'll deny you, goddammit.
Yeah. I think that's all from us this week.
It is. I look forward to part 3. Let's see how the Trojan War ends, shall we?
Well, I don't think it'll end quite ASAP.
Okay. Well, I want to see how. We'll at least find out how Achilles' story ends.
Yes. I'm trying not to give away spoilers.
We all know how it ends.
He gets invaded by the spaceship comes down and basically fights off the aliens, and it's really
and then the Egyptians turn up, and it's a whole thing.
Yeah. There should be a crossover myth between Norse gods and Egyptians.
The Vikings, Egyptians, Romans, and Greeks, they all turn up and fight each other.
Yeah.
They all invade Troy. That's actually what happens in part 3.
Spoiler alert, guys. See you soon.
Bye.
MIFFS.